They're gonna be like, why are you in a tiki hut?
Why are we in a tiki hut? You might be asking. Let's just rip. Like,
Should we cheers? Even though,
oh my god,
yeah. Girl, I've been drinking from yours. So the last 3 books we read were Conversations on Love by Natasha Lunn in February. In March, we read The Pisces by Melissa Broder. And in April, we read
I Who Have Never Known Men by Jaqueline Harpman.
Yes.
What did we think of Conversations on Love?
Okay, so for me, the biggest thing when I opened the book, it's like in an interview format, I guess. And I really don't like that for some reason. It's the same.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's the same reason I couldn't get into or fully enjoy the Daisy Jones and the Six.
Yeah.
I prefer the show. I just hated how it was like
it like stops
formatted.
Between...
Yeah, I don't like that. I like the book a lot.
I mean, I do like how it's like a range of different voices, so you hear from like different perspectives
like that.
And like
I
researchers. So it's not completely just like her experience. Like she's getting actual like research and evidence from like other people who study this, or just people in her life, her friends. Like,
I agree.
Different perspectives. I love that, and I like how it was kind of journalistic as well. Like she was a reporter, so I don't know. I like the psychology. I
really like it too. I mean, I love everything like that. That's why I just told her, if you guys watch our podcast or listen to our podcast rather, you'll know that recently I've kind of been in this like self-discovery journey. Big theme this month. And I was thinking about, now that we were like thinking up our points, I was like, that book was really about like loving yourself, how you love your family, even like your kids or your parents, or I don't know, it was just like so cute. And I was like, I should have read that like now in this phase of my life that I'm in now.
A lot of it was like your identity in a relationship, but also how you think of it affects like the other person as well. And like you're combining like two people's different experiences to understand different types of love.
And the book also talks about different things. It's not just love.
It's like belonging. Also friendship is like a really big part of the book. Like I loved how she got experiences from her friends, and like it's so like the entire book, whenever they would talk about friendship in regards to love, was so girlhood. Like that's what made me, it kind of reminded me of Dolly Alderton.
Okay, I was gonna bring her up in a bit, like everything I know about love.
Literally they coincide. And she has like her own interview in there, but it kind of reminded me of that like general theme of like girlhood. All of like Dolly Alderton's stuff is very like woman coming of age, like coming into like your power and realizing your worth and stuff. And I loved that. I wrote down some quotes that kind of like sparked some things in me, or I was like, oh,
let's talk about them. Let's talk about them. I want to hear.
I have one thing in quotes that says, "It meant I got so good at pretending I didn't need anything that I forgot how to be myself." And I was like, oh yeah, like you pretend you don't need anything. Oh, so we all just like kind of put our own feelings aside to like appease other people. She also talks about like losing yourself in a relationship and suppressing your own desires to fit someone else's world and idea.
That's a big one.
Again, that's like a whole like loss of self that you go through, which we always talk about as well on the podcast. And it's so sad too that like you can fully invest yourself in someone's time and energy, and you get so wrapped up in being like their ideal image of like a perfect significant other that you start to like neglect your own wants, needs. You really just lose yourself.
You lose yourself completely. You lose who you are to fit the other person's desires and needs. Like it's so
and this goes for like even non-relationships too.
Correct. Like
even if it's like a situationship. Like, heavy on situationships. Oh, I also had like this other quote that I wrote down where she says, "You're acting like it's not a big deal that they didn't show up at your birthday until 11 p.m. And then I wrote next to it, "This hit because wow, have I experienced this and made excuses for that behavior at that time." So I literally went through a similar experience regarding like you have this idea of like spending so much time. Oh my god, thank you.
There's just like a little patita.
Like going back to like that like idea of like wanting to be seen by someone and like spending time with them, and then you kind of like at the time that you're in it you forget like what you deserve, and so you dismiss like actions that just happen naturally or you think are like common and natural, and you're like, oh, we don't have to spend like every holiday together, even though you'd like to. And it's like,
even though you're in a
you're in a partnership and you want to spend time with them.
Yeah.
But that literally happened to me. It wasn't a birthday, it was a different holiday. And I was like, oh my god, girlhood. Like we've all been kind of like stood up in the sense of like life and life experiences. I loved how she views like mistakes as creative errors.
Okay, yes.
There was like a whole section about that.
Okay, can we talk about, actually, this could be an entire podcast episode. I don't know, book club girlies, if you guys should tune into the podcast because we might do an episode on this, but the mistakes, ever since the perspective episode that we did, now that we're talking about this whole section that she did, I have changed my mindset from like, okay, I made a mistake, I'm like, I'll learn from it. I'm not gonna do it again. I'm gonna
like be so harsh on,
not be so harsh. It's part of the process. The only way that you can ever like win or succeed at something is to fail. Yeah. Because if we just get it from the get-go, it's like, okay, cool. But like, what about, we love that.
Where's the character
building? Where's the progress?
Yeah.
Natasha Lunn. I really want to revisit it now with the part of my life that I'm in, because I feel like I didn't really appreciate it for what it was at the time. I love
doing that with books.
Yeah.
Like you'll read something at the time and you're like, I didn't really enjoy it that much, or like it wasn't hitting. And then you read it like,
and you're like, wait, it might
a few months later, like years down the line, and you're like, okay, I get what they were trying to do with this.
Yeah, it really
now
resonates with you.
I'm more mature. I can understand the themes of this book.
Yeah, but Natasha Lunn, Conversations of Love, we would recommend.
Yeah, what would you give it out of 5 stars?
Maybe like 3.5.
Damn.
4?
I would give it, I think I would 4. Like 4.
I think so.
Yeah.
Again, I read this back in February.
Yeah.
I think if I reread it now, I would give it something much higher.
Things have happened since. Yeah.
Things have happened since. Listen to the podcast to find out. So in March we read The Pisces by Broder. She's actually my favorite author.
Yeah.
Which I know it's so weird because
very like high title to give someone.
Because you're like, you're so weird, Mel, but I love her writing. It's just a different
form of
It's so different.
Writing. Like you have to kind of be into that like
weird
shit a little.
She's weird. And I see that with Love because I admire her writing so much. Girl meets merman, they have an affair. Like,
that's actually the entire plot of the book.
Well, yeah.
It's like magical realism.
Which almost. I love, by the way.
Yeah.
I love magical realism so much. I didn't know how much I could like it. I kind of want to jump more into that genre. What were your thoughts on the book? Because I have more so thoughts on her writing. Yes.
Well, yeah, you always talk about her writing and you love that style of writing. Yeah. I do enjoy her writing, I will say, just because it's very like easy to read. Like it's not doing too much. She doesn't
She's very face at your face. She's very much she will let you know like all the thoughts that the character has,
which I kind of love.
That's what I love about all her characters.
I love to know, like, even if it's a little strange.
She's a little strange. Like that's what I love.
You have to go into it with an open mind.
Yeah, like Broder, she's like an acquired taste, I think. But I love always that her characters are so like, they'll say what's on their mind. She did that also with like Milk Fed, and I just preferred her writing, her fiction books more than her nonfiction. It's just so much better. I don't know what it is, but like there's just I think that there's like this thing that maybe she goes through a process where, because it's fiction, it's not her real life, and maybe she'll like she gets to be like freakier, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's so true. Like, I would think like, oh, they're finally hooking up, like her and this mermaid are finally hooking up, but then it was like every chapter after that, like they were getting it on, and I was like, oh, like I am not someone who reads a lot of fantasy. Like I struggle to make sense of stuff that isn't really common, or like it's very like unrealistic. You're like, nobody, like who is hooking up with a mermaid?
Really got you.
Who is doing that? And like when I first read it, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to like get down with this. But that didn't really happen to me with this one. Versus like if I was reading something like ACOTAR, that's exactly what I was gonna bring up.
No, literally ACOTAR, but ACOTAR is so different.
It's so different.
Okay, ACOTAR, I don't think you can compare to the Pisces.
You can't. No, but that's why I was saying it's like so different, because there are elements of like this is
would
not
never happen
happening in real life, which like same with ACOTAR, because it's very fictional like fantasy worlds, like fairies, like all this good stuff. The high realm, like which we've only read the first book. So like all the ACOTAR fans, please,
ACOTAR fans, Don't come for us. No, like,
literally.
I've literally been saying I just want to read the rest of the books
Just to see
what is going on. Let us know.
I don't know, like, does it get better? I was kind of struggling.
And I mean, have you seen the thickness of the rest of the books? I'm like, what goes down in this world of ACOTAR? Like,
no, it's crazy.
Comment down below if you should read the rest of the books.
Literally, let us know.
Okay, continue.
But like, for the Pisces, I don't know, I just enjoyed also the fact that, like, not only was it like kind of weird and a little odd, but it does also tell you a lot about like love and her viewpoint of it, which is like,
can I see?
It's like a warped, almost like,
okay, I was
perspective piece.
Yeah, I really love also how all her, she does this in the rest of her books too, but all her female characters are a little, I don't want to say twisted. I liked how you said
they are,
but they're a little twisted. And when I read them, I'm so fascinated by the way that their brain works, and again, how open the characters are.
I would give it a 3.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
Anyway, read the Pisces. I think it's fun for the summer also, and if you're looking for like kind of a twisted, like,
but like
acquired taste,
kind of
sexy, kind of dark, read the Pisces. Read Melissa Broder. She's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how she is in all her books.
Yeah, like,
she's very explicit, very
funny.
It's
comical. Okay. Yeah, there's like comical elements to it.
Yeah, all her books, like even like So Sad Today, which is the one I'm reading right now, she's funny, but it's just like more personal, more of her, and I feel kind of like I'm like, I shouldn't know this information. That's why I like her fictional, because I'm like, these are characters.
They're
like,
characters.
Yeah. Anywho, so in April, reread
I Who Have Never Known Men by Jaqueline Harpman.
I listened to the audiobook, and at first I was like, what is going on here? But
it's very short.
It's a very short book. The whole premise of it, I think, is like there's these women that are literally caged underground in this bunker, and there's some that are like younger, there's some that are older.
There's a little bit of like sci-fi feel to it. Majority of the book, if not all of it, is just this experience of them like being trapped and trying to find signs of life. Like that is the entire book. And so you think like something is gonna happen for them, you think like they're gonna be found, you think they're gonna like,
I thought,
you know, like you think
thought
something's gonna happen.
The whole time we were trying to figure out why they're in this bunker, and then the most interesting thing I will say, I just remembered, is that there are like these male soldiers that, or like these guards that keep them in these cages, but they're
literally prisoners.
The prisoners,
of, like, another life.
Yeah,
but, like, what life?
The thing is that I find so interesting is why keep them alive if they're like keeping them in a cage, you know what I mean? And like, what was the reason for that? Because there would be like moments where they were like, and if we'd get sick, they would give us medicine, and we would be forced to have the medicine.
It's obviously very bleak and like very dark, and nobody survives. Spoiler alert. They also find other bunkers, like they find other settlements.
It's giving Fallout. There's parts that I found very interesting where she was always like on the pursuit of knowledge, like not to be dramatic by saying that, but like I think she was like, she would ask the older women who obviously lived outside of the bunker about like the world and about like every like different experiences and stuff, and so she was always trying to know, and they would always respond with like, why do you need to know something?
I know,
if it's never gonna like happen to you or something like that. The book is very descriptive. I could very much imagine the bunker, I could imagine the people, and I loved also how they made it like there was not a hierarchy, but everyone had like a position, a role.
Yeah.
I just wish it was like a little bit more of a, there's a reason for this, and I feel like I just haven't gotten to that point where I'm like, what is the reason for it, other than to just like explore.
It kind of left me wanting,
it's giving
a little more
experiment. It's giving like,
that's how it felt the entire time, and like you just can't expect there to be like a resolution. And I was relating a lot of the characters to like shows that we have seen, like
that's what I was telling you. I was like getting like Shauna vibes from Yellow Jackets. I was getting like, if you watch Handmaid's Tale, I was getting so many of the characters. I was like, this is giving these characters from the Handmaid's Tale.
I was like picturing all of them.
Yeah, I was world building. Like, it's such a descriptive book, and I was listening to it, so I was like, I felt like I was there.
It was kind of,
and I could like hear like the whips against the cage, and oh my god, I just can't get over the fact that why would they want to keep these women?
No, it's very heartbreaking. It's like a very heartbreaking, like bleak, dark story. I would give it like a 3.5, surprisingly.
Okay, I would give it a 3.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'd give it like a 3.5, even though this is like the most, I think, highly rated book, like Goodreads wise.
I enjoyed the writing of it a lot. Like the way that I'm just like, I'm there.
For
I
sure.
love her use of imagery, girl.
So
I'm
good.
there. I'm sad.
Like we're watching the movie.
Yeah, I'm literally there. So for that, I will give it its praise because it was really good.
Yeah.
But those were our thoughts on the books we've read.
Books.
Yeah, short and sweet, and I hope you guys stay tuned on Fable. Please keep up with us because we're gonna be updating it throughout the summer.
We already have our May read picked out. By the time you're listening to this, it's already been announced.
Yeah.
So it's
Summer in the City by Alex Astor. I'm pretty sure that's how you say their name.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited. It's gonna be a romance. We haven't picked up a romance in a while. It's very cutesy, and I'm very excited because it's enemies to lovers. So if you're into that, please keep up with us on Fable and
join
make
the
sure
book club.
Join
the
the
link
book club.
will always be down there in anything, even in our podcast episodes, because
Just
we really
join it.
want to just talk about books with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you. We'll see
in
you
our
in
next
the summer.
podcast episode. No, in our next podcast episode.
Yeah, go watch the podcast. Go subscribe. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Oh my god, I see a giant bee.
Where?
Right there. Yeah. Kaylin, I will literally launch myself off of this.
No, I'm not about to get stung. No, but it's like far. It's like far.
Okay. Sorry, there's a ginormous bee.
No, there is.
I'm sorry, Kaylin.
No, but it's over there. Like, we're not gonna get
You're
it.
so calm about it. Kaylin.
If it comes, it comes.
Okay, okay. All
like,
right.
Just don't pay attention to it.
So, I can't. It's right behind the camera.
Oh, wait. I thought that was a bee.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. Exactly. Exactly.